Yeah, if you can just put a thumbs up so I can see. Great. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. That's a really long introduction for Monday morning. And again, once again, congratulations to everyone here in this webinar today for being part of this amazing journey. And I truly believe that as coaches, we are here, sent for a purpose to really transform life and change lives. So without further ado, we're going to begin I think I'm the very first guy, for the ICF Coaching Experience Week. So this week is a very important week for coaches around the world because this is the week that we go deeper to help us improve both our skills as well as our ability to skill as a coaching practice. So over the next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, we'll be looking at two different areas. One is the skill coaches in the competency base for deep inner work coaching. Secondly, tomorrow we'll be talking about how then do we sell high ticket items for our coaching practice. So just for today, how we're going to do this is this, right? We're going to use this whole session to facilitate our coaching conversation. So you can ask questions on the chat box on this side here, or you can unmute yourself and ask questions. I love a two-way direction as well. So if any questions, just feel free to ask. I'll open the floor for more questions. That's how we'll facilitate this 1 hour together. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about deep inner work coaching. How many of you have heard of deep inner work before? Any show of hands? Deep inner work? Yes, no? Okay. So if you want to know how to raise your hands, if you can click on this side, on your chat box, you can actually raise your hands, or you can put your hands down. Now, what's interesting about deep inner work is this. One of the big questions that most coaches always ask is, how do we help our clients go further and deeper than ever before? How do we help them to deep dive into their world? How do we help them to change their world? And what is the way that we can help our clients see the world differently? Well, one of the big ways that we can do that is through deep inner work coaching. So what is deep inner work all about? Because every person has different kinds of levels of situation they're facing. A person may come to us and say, hey, I'm facing this particular situation right now. I'm having an emotional issue. I'm having a family issue. I'm having a career issue. And oftentimes, as coaches, we feel for them and we want to help them. But how do we help them? And how do we help them efficaciously? That is the big question. So my pursuit over the years is, how do we help our clients go deeper, further than ever before? How do we create lasting change? How do we create a magical moment for them? Because in every single coaching session, to me, it's a magical moment. And it's a moment for the client. So right now, in this moment that we have together, this is a powerful moment where we enjoy and experience coaching like never before. So in the next few minutes, we're going to go deep dive in our coaching conversation. We're going to explore what deep coaching is, and we're going to expand the horizon for our coaching practice. Okay, so let's ask the ground, right? So feel free to unmute yourself. What comes to mind when you think about deep coaching? What comes to mind? Anyone? You can unmute yourself to share with us. What comes to mind when you think about deep coaching?
Hi, this is Harry.
Hi, Harry.
Hello. Hi, everyone else. Happy International Coaching Week. I think what it sort of suggests to me is when you go deep, you're sort of really delving deep into your inner emotional state. So not just surface level actions and thoughts, but feelings and emotions beneath all of that.
So that's a great insight. And so Harry says, as you can see on this screen here, right, I'll be writing, I think it's a bit small, but he says it's going to the deep emotional state. Hui Eng says touches the heart. Nithal Sanjay says knowing oneself well first before making the change. Those are great insights, right? And one of the interesting things about deep inner work coaching is that when we look at the client, actually the client faces several levels of issues. So the big question I always get from coaches is, how do we help our clients go deeper? How do we help them to unravel the issues? So let's think about this. Let's use a topic. Any volunteers here would like to use your real, whoever's challenge that you're facing right now, that you're open to share with the rest of us. And we'll use the topic as one example to go deeper. Anyone want to volunteer? You can write it here on the chat box. No one? It's a great chance for you to be involved in this process. Anyone have a particular challenge that you don't mind sharing with the rest of us, and we use that topic to go deeper?
This is Pui Ying.
Hi, Pui Ying.
Okay, probably it will be a topic that one of my clients have, is that he wanted to spend more time with the family members, like aging parents, but yet whenever he spent the time with the aging parents, he was not present, and then he find that he's not having a good quality time with the parents. And every time after the get together, he will go back. He felt very guilty that he didn't really spend good quality time, and so it's kind of like this cycle repeat and repeat itself. And this is where that when come to coaching, it's kind of like going into a loop.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Pui Ying, right? Thanks, Pui Ying, for sharing that. So this is an issue that we face, or many people may face from time to time. Spending time with family members, but you end up not spending, and you want to spend, but you don't spend enough, and end up the quality time that you feel that you should spend, you feel guilty about it. So that loop, what we call that loop, becomes a downward spiral for the person, and he never gets a chance to break out. And as a coach, how then do we resolve the issue? So let's take a look at this. As coaches, there's several levels of issues that we're facing. There is the issue at the what level. So what Pui Ying just described, that is the issues at hand. What is the issue? Which is spending more time with family members, and want to avoid feeling guilty, never spend enough quality time with parents, but yet he has the work to do, and yet he has the other appointments to handle. But that's the what issue. But as coaches, one of the things is many coaches face is that when they try to resolve the what issue, it seems like they cannot get the clients out of that cycle. How do we get the clients out of that cycle? Because if we focus on just the one issue, this issue, it will always circle around this same issue again and again and again, because it's just revolving around the one issue. We have to go deeper with the client. And the way to go deeper is to ask them the why issue. Why is that a problem for him? So there's another why. Well, why is that a problem for him? Or how is that a problem for him? And this is where most coaches state, right? Why, where, how is that a problem for him? However, even though we ask this question, why and how, it may not mean that this client can resolve the issue, because the issue still revolves around the what, the how, the why. The bigger issue is not about spending time with the family. The bigger issue is not about feeling guilty. The bigger issue is not feeling the need of quality time. What is the bigger thing on the inside that is facing? The bigger issue is actually his challenge in facing this question, the who on the inside. So at the what level, this is the issue that's facing. But at the deeper level, when we ask why and how, we're looking at the who. Who is this person in relation to what he's actually facing? Because we can have 5 different people experiencing the same situation, but all 5 responding to differently, because the who that's involved, it's all different. So when we look at the deep inner work coaching, we're looking at exploring with the client, not just at the what level, we're bringing him down to the how and why, and also to the who. Because it's more important to figure out who the person is in relation to that, to create the alignment for him. Because the results they're seeing right now is not the results they want. Therefore, the action he takes doesn't correlate to the results that he wants to achieve. And why is there no action? Because there's no alignment between who he is and what he wants to achieve. And why is there no alignment? Because there's no clarity. So I always tell my coaches, one of the big things for us is in the line of coaching to do all the time is to first create what we call clarity for the client. Clarity is important for the client. When we are able to establish clarity, we are now clear about what the client is actually truly facing. Is this the real problem? Is this the real issue? Because if you want to write this down, right? Write this down. The problem is never the problem. Your client's problem is never the real problem. So whatever the client always tells me, I know for a fact that problem may not be the true problem. And it's through the power of coaching and the power of powerful questioning that we ask the client deeper questions to gain clarity and to help the client get clarity about what he's facing. So many times as coaches, we want to gain clarity about the situation. But that's where we pause. So let me ask this question for all of us here. Do we gain clarity for us as a coach, or do we help our clients gain clarity for themselves? So who says we help the clients gain clarity for themselves, or who says, or which of you feels that we can help ourselves gain clarity about what the client is facing? Yep, it's for themselves, right? So sometimes as coaches, when we ask the question, are we asking for our understanding, or are we asking for them to gain awareness of themselves? The self-awareness building is always for the client, not for the coach, because the client needs to be aware of what's happening. Clarity happens first. When clarity happens, something happens. When clarity happens, the next step happens, which is what we call alignment. When clarity happens, alignment begins to happen. Because now they see the world differently, now they have realization, now they have awareness. When there's self-realization, self-awareness, alignment begins to happen between who they are, their values, their beliefs, their mindsets, the patterns in their mind, and what they want to achieve, the outcome, the results, and the actions forward. When this happens, when there's clarity and alignment coming together, the second part happens. The action they take forward becomes very clear. They know exactly what they want to do. And this creates results for them that they want to see. I'll give you an example. How many of you like chocolates? Any of you like chocolates? Who likes chocolates? Right, I got a room full of people here as well. So they're also raising their hands. Right? Yeah, chocolates. I love chocolates. Right? And for us who love to exercise, many people go to gym. Right? I love to go to the gym to eat more. That's my favorite thing to do. And chocolates, when you think about chocolates, let's ask this question. The end result of chocolate is you want to eat it. The action step is to take the chocolate and put it in your mouth. But do we ask ourselves this question? I don't want to eat the chocolate because I'm scared of eating chocolate. What's my purpose of eating chocolate? What is my value system of eating chocolate? What if I eat chocolate? Do we ask all these questions? No, right? When we want to eat chocolate, we eat it because there's absolute alignment between who we are as chocolate lovers and what we want to do, which is eat the chocolate. There's absolute clarity. We don't have to ask ourselves, I'm not sure whether to eat chocolate or not eat chocolate. Because there's absolute clarity, there's absolute alignment. When that happens, action and results always happens very fast. In the same way, when you think about losing weight as well, every one of us know how to lose weight, right? You diet or you exercise or a combination of both, you can experience losing weight. But why we don't do it? Because there's a lack of clarity. So you think about this. We all know the action required to take, which is eating less, right? And maybe exercising more. That's the action. But when we focus on just the action part, the motivation or the drive to actually take the action is not there. Today, many people say, hey, we're going to take action, take action, take action. We're going to take the results. We're going to do the results when you go to the actions. But focusing on this doesn't do anything for the client because you've got to do a lot of motivation and pushing and driving. But you see, if motivation is extrinsic, it only can go so far. But motivation that's intrinsic can drive the action forward and create momentum that lasts. So I'm always interested in not just creating results. I'm always interested in creating lasting results. I'm also not interested in creating performance. I'm interested in creating sustainable performance at a peak performance level. So our question as coaches is, how do we create sustainable peak performance for our clients? How do we create lasting change and tangible results for our clients on the long horizon? That is first to create alignment first and clarity. With these two coming in line, then the action and results will be there. So that is the introduction of coaching. Finally, we begin our deep inner work coaching. Let's give us a round of applause. Okay. So sometimes you guys should watch what I'm doing, right? Because I'm just talking to a camera. Now, let me show you what deep inner work coaching is. In a while's time, you see this screen. Okay. So one of the questions we ask ourselves is, what is preventing our clients from achieving the results that they want? And they want to create lasting change. So this is how I define deep inner work coaching. It's the inner journey to unravel the depths of our clients, to help them create alignment between what they want and what is it that's preventing them from achieving it. It is the discovery process of self-awareness that works on values, beliefs, neurological patterning to effect the greatest positive impact on the client. Wow, that's a mouthful. All right, so let me break it down for you guys. So there's two portions here. One is going deep and one is the work of going deep. The inner journey that we unravel with the client is the journey of experiencing who they are. So if you look at the ICF competencies, if at the ACC, PCC, and MCC level, when you shift to the MCC level, you're exploring more of the who the person is in relation to the situation. In the deep inner work coaching, we're exploring who the person is in this situation, helping them gain clarity and awareness and revelation of who they are. Because if you can do that, the awareness happens and the breakthrough happens. And this whole process is what we call the coaching process, in the inner journey that breaks down for them who they are and what they want to achieve, and what's the missing portion. And this whole discovery process works on these value systems, the beliefs, and what are some patterns that they created in their minds. And what we want to achieve. And our premise is that we believe that everybody wants to create a positive impact for themselves. So let's stop there for a while. What questions do you guys have? You can put on the comments section below. Okay, so in this whole journey together, you can put your questions here. You can unmute yourself and ask me questions, and we're gonna have this two-way communication. All right. So, are you ready to see what's happening? Yeah, I hope you guys can see this screen. If you cannot, you can draw with me, right? If you have a pen and paper, this is what we're going to do first. Take a piece of paper or a pen or paper, and we draw a little box like this. And you just draw 4 little quadrants, very easy quadrants. So this is what I call the coach-client paradox, or the coaching quadrants. Can you see this? Okay, so now I'm using the speaker view to see. Okay, so if you want to see what's on the flip chart, you use the speaker view. So it's a coach-client quadrant. On this part here, it's what is called the known. This is what is known to the client and what is known to the coach. This part here is what we call the hidden. What is known to the client but unknown to the coach. This part here is called the blind. What is unknown to the client but known to the coach. And this part here is the unknown. What is not known to the coach but not known to the client. So let me show you how all this ties together in our coaching practice. So as a coach and a client, we both know things from each other, the conversation that we have with each other. So what's known to both parties, this is what it is. For example, a client can come to you and say, hey, I'm deciding between choosing job A or job B. So what's known to both of us is that there's a decision to be made between job A and job B. What is hidden, it's probably a skill, something that's missing. So I give you an even easier example. How many of you love eating crabs? Anyone? You can raise your hands. How many of you love eating crabs? You can put that. Anyone allergic to crabs? Oh, you're typing very slowly. Okay, so if you like crabs, imagine crabs or chili or chocolate, the same thing. If today we go for a crab session, we know that we like crabs. That's the known part. What is the hidden part? What is not known to me, but known to you? Perhaps it could be things like you may like to eat chili crab. Maybe you like to eat butter crab. Maybe you like to eat salted egg crab. But I don't know, because we all know that we like crabs, but I do not know as a coach that what you like to eat. So that's the hidden thing. And how do we unravel the hidden things? The way you unravel this part here is through the process of asking, right? Asking questions. That's how we unravel things. The next step is this, the blind. What is not known to the client but known to me? This portion is very, very important because this portion is what the coach is observing of the client. As the client is expressing himself, what is observing? Both what is seeing, what's hearing, what's feeling. So as I observe a person eating a crab, and I notice this person likes to go for the pincers first, followed by the other legs. But the client has been doing this all the time, but he's not aware that he's always doing this. So as a coach, then I ask him, hey, can I share with you some insights or some observations that I'm hearing from you? That you are, the way you eat your crab is actually through taking that first, taking the pincers first, followed by the different legs. So that is the process of feedback, or the telling process. Feedback or the telling process. So in our direct communication with our clients, or in core competency number 7, if you guys have the sheet of ICF core competency, in direct communication, it's all about giving the client feedback. What are you observing? How about a client and providing them insights? So when that happens, the client is now aware of its blind side. Finally, with this area here, how do we bring the known? How do we bring the client to the unknown of the unknown? What is unknown to us as a coach, unknown to them as a client? And this part is the issue they're coming to you with, because that's the issue to resolve fast. So how do we help them to come to the unknown of the unknown? This whole part is what we call the coaching process. The entire coaching process revolves around helping them to understand what's the unknown of the unknown. And the way we do that is through the whole exploration process. So I'll give you an example. When we want to find out what the person knows, what the person's hidden from the person, we ask them a few questions. What does this mean to you? When we want to find out what is the missing things or what's this blind spot, we can ask them, what is the thing that they're not hearing, or what is something that they've been achieving to achieve their goals and outcomes. And when we look at the unknown, we're looking at another area. What is missing to help you get there? So what's missing? What is it? What does it mean to you? And what has been going well for you? In these 3 quadrants, you begin to explore the client deeper than they have been before. Now, let me show you. For those who cannot see the slides, don't worry, right? I've prepared a slide for you so you can take a look. So here, you have the known portion, you have the blind portion, you have the hidden portion, and the unknown of the unknown. So if you come down, this is through the process of asking. If you come to this side, this is the process of giving feedback or telling. This is the process of the entire coaching process, asking powerful questions. So let me ask the floor now. Let me ask the ground. What is core competency number 6? Who remembers what's the core competency number 6? Anyone? Core competency number 6. ICF. Come coaches, you guys can do it. What is the core competency number 6? Powerful questioning. Yep. So many times, many coaches come and tell me, hey, what is some powerful questions I can ask my client? And then what is the best question to ask them? I always ask them this question. I say, hey, what does that mean? What does powerful question mean? Are there such a thing as powerful questions? Is there such a thing as no powerful questions? The reality is this, right? If you look at the ICF competency, core competency number 6, it doesn't say powerful questions. It says powerful questioning. So the question in itself has no power. The power comes in the questioning process through the context and the precision of when you ask the question. So question in of itself is neutral. Nothing powerful about a question. But when the question is asked in the right moment, in the right context, given the right situation, it becomes a powerful question. That process of asking the powerful question in the right context, right time, in a given moment creates a powerful questioning process. So for deep inner work coaching to happen, we have to go through this entire process of powerful questioning, not just powerful questions. Because when you try to ask powerful questions, what happens? In our mind, we get a roadblock, right? We get stuck. So I have many coaches come to me and say, hey, I don't know what to ask next. My client's telling me this, but I don't know what to ask next. What should I do next? And that's because when that's happening, what's happening in their mind? They're thinking about the next question to ask. And when you always think about the next question to ask, are you present with the client? No, right? You're no longer present with the client. When you're no longer present with the client, you can never be in the moment with the client. So for deep inner work coaching to happen, you must be present with the client in the moment with the client, having the amazing coaching dance. Whenever I talk about coaching, it's always about conversational dancing or conversational mastery. The process of both ways we're dancing in the moment. When we lose the moment, when we lose the presence, coaching becomes very rigid, becomes very formulaic. But coaching should not be formulaic. It should be a flow. It should be a process. I always tell my coaches all the time, I said, imagine coaching like water. Water in the cup, right? Like water in this little jug here. It's like a jug. Water in the glass, it's like glass. If I spill the water on the floor, it's like a flow. It flows with the client. And our best present as coaches to give our clients is always the gift of being present in the moment. If we be present in the moment, we're able to listen to what the client is saying and what the client is not saying, and we're able to go deeper than ever before. So that takes us to the 4 keys of deep inner work coaching. Are you ready for it? So get ready for a pen and get ready some thinking heads, because this time I'm going to ask a lot of questions. You guys can post here. What are your comments and what are your thoughts here? So I'm going to share with you guys over the next 30 minutes about the 4 keys of deep inner work coaching. And here we go. The first key in deep inner work coaching is the notion of precision questioning. That ties in just earlier, we talked about powerful questioning. It's not just the question itself, but the precision of the question. How sharp are we asking the question to produce the most efficacious result for your client in that moment? So question in and of itself has no power, but question when asked in the right context creates the power. So sometimes questions like why, questions like how, questions like what, sometimes creates a lot of deep thought for the client. So there's no right or wrong questions, but there are moments where you can ask that can generate very powerful results for the client. So when I look at questioning, I'm looking at the precision of when you ask the question. That is more important. Okay, so let's ask the floor this question. How would you ask? What are some ways do you think you could ask precision-based questions? What are some ways that you think you can ask? Or what are some words you can use to create precision questioning for your client? Anyone? What are some ways you can create precision questioning for your clients?
Hi, this is Harry again. I'm not sure if this would mean a powerful question, but it might elicit a powerful response. Would be to ensure that you're asking open questions.
An open question, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Harry. So Harry said this, right? One of the ways is to ask open questions. Now, that's a good question, right? That's a good way to start. Now, I always like to say this. I always like to burst a lot of myths in coaching. So most of the time, we say, hey, we're going to ask open questions. But the reality of questions is this. Reality of questions is that all questions by itself are not open. Every single question that we can ever ask are leading questions. For example, when I ask you a question, I'm asking you to think in that question. For example, when I ask you, what do you think is precision questioning? What do you think is powerful questioning? You are thinking, I'm framing you to think about that direction. So I'm leading you to my question. So all questions are leading questions. But there's a difference between leading open questions and open questions, or leading closed questions. So when we lead a client in the direction that they want to, and we ask them open questions in the process, we are opening up for them. So we're not limiting their decision. For example, when we ask a client, when you ask someone, what do you want to eat? That's a leading question, because you are asking them to think about what they want to eat. But if I ask them, hey, do you want to eat chicken rice or do you want to eat duck rice? That is a closed question, because I'm only giving them 2 options. If I ask them, what would you like to eat? What would satiate your taste buds? That creates an openness of the question. So some of the ways you can ask is include a prefix. So let me just write on the chat box here. So you can include prefix. So such as what, how, where, when. These are great prefixes to use to elicit the questioning. And sometimes the biggest question or sometimes the most powerful questions I've ever experienced in the coaching process is asking the 3-letter word, why? So sometimes coaches, when they think about the word why, they say, hey, no, why it's a very bad word. How many of you have heard this thing about coaching, right? Many coaches I met around the world, they tell me the 3-letter word that all coaches must avoid is why. Then I ask them this question, why? Why you say why? Because why is not a bad word. It's not a 3-letter bad word. We have been taught that why should not be used in the coaching process because it limits the client's belief. Actually, it's not. If you ask the word why in the right context, in the right moment, it generates a lot of conversation for the client. So how you use it is more important than what you use. Today, I have many coaches coming to me with 155 questions, best questions to ask, 200 best questions to ask. There are books written about the best questions to ask. But those will never help us to become better coaches. What makes us better coaches is the quality of questions asked, because the quality of questions asked will determine the quality of results received by the client. Tony Robbins once said this, right? The quality of the questions determine the quality of life. But I always tell my clients, the quality of questions asked by the coach will determine the quality of the results received by the client. So how we ask is more important than what we ask. So that's the first point of precision-based coaching. And we talk about precision, we're talking about the exact point, the exact nuances that we say. And think about this. When we ask a question as well, it's not just the question that we ask, but how we ask the question. So the how includes 2 levels. How at level 1 is the syntax of the question. So I say that again. How at level 1 is the syntax of the question. The way the question is structured. How at level 2 is the nuance of the question. So I give an example. If I say, why are you like that? That is the question. Why are you like that? Right? That's the syntax. But it creates different morphology or different nuances at the end of the day. Why are you like that? If asked differently, if nuanced differently, will create different kind of results. I give an example. Why are you like that? And when you ask, why are you like that? Are 2 different meanings. Or when we ask, why are you like that? Also creates different meaning. So the way we place emphasis on the words also plays a part in the precision of questioning. So when I look at the precision of questioning, it's not about the structure of the question itself, but it's about the way we ask the question and the rhythms by which we ask. I've heard coaches sometimes asking questions after questions after questions, what we call lateral stacking of questions, not giving enough space for the client to pause and to reflect. So that if we stack too fast, the client is not able to then process it in their mind. For example, if I ask you, what would you like to eat for lunch? Why are you guys here during the lunchtime? Oh, 1 p.m. later, will you be rushing for lunch? Will you be missing your lunch? If I stack questions like this, you will never have time to process my very first question. All that you recall was the last question I asked. So as coaches, we got to be very comfortable with silence. So how now at level 3 is the process of silence. So after asking the question, after nuancing it the way, we got to give time for the client, allowing ourselves to pause. Sometimes we use the word seller, right? Pause, reflect, and give client space. Sometimes I call silence as spaciousness. If you want to improve our coaching practice today, very easy, right? You want to improve the level of your coaching ability or the deep level of ability is to provide spaciousness in the coaching process. And sometimes that spaciousness seems very scary because the silence seems very loud. Just like right now, when I'm talking to you, everyone here, there's nobody talking to me, right? It may seem like a big silence, but I know that the client on the other end is reflecting, it's thinking. So number 1, it's how we phrase the sentence, how we phrase the question. Number 2, it's how we nuance the question. And number 3 is that spaciousness that we give for the client to explore the question. Now, when you think about this, there are few people that are listening to your question. 1 is the client that's in front of you. 2 is the client on the inside of the client themselves. So the client who has an internal representation of himself, he'll be asking the same question again on the inside of himself. So there's 2 persons at work here, right? One is him hearing the question, another one is internal dialogue on the inside. So if we don't give enough space for the client to think through, then it wouldn't become powerful. Now, I'm going to give you a few tips of how do you improve on the precision of questioning. So think about this. When you think about knife, right? When you think about knife, how many of you actually sharpen your knife at home? Any of you? Do you sharpen your knife? What do you use to sharpen your knife? Anyone here or over there? Oh, a cup to sharpen your knife. And sometimes you got a wooden block. And they tell you, if let's say you go to any Japanese or any knife stores and they tell you a wheatstone, right? And there's different grades of wheatstone. If you want to sharpen your knife, you start with the thicker wheatstone, right? Or the more dense wheatstone. Then you move on to another wheatstone that is much more finer, and you move on to another one that's more much finer. Each level requires different fining skills, right? You're going to refine it better and better and better. If I were to sharpen my knife straight away by jumping into the finest grade of the stone, would the knife ever be sharp? It won't be. Because for that to happen, you must go through several layers. In the same way, for us to practice our questioning, we got to practice at a few levels, and we got to enhance the practice by sharpening it every single day. So we as coaches, I always tell coaches, we as coaches, we need to have coaches as well, right? I have coaches as well who coach me to improve my coaching practice. All coaches also require coaches. A coach without a coach, sometimes I tell people the blatant truth. A coach without a coach is probably not a coach, because if we don't believe in coaching enough, how then do we allow our clients to believe in coaching? To that level that we believe in coaching is that level our clients believe. To that level we have worked in ourselves, in our own lives, in the depth of our lives, is that level that our clients will go to. So how deep we have been to ourselves is how deep we can bring our clients forward as well. So the deep inner work begins first with us as the coach, and begins first with us experiencing the precision of questioning. Then we can allow our clients to experience that as well. Any questions, anyone? If I'm going too fast, please put in the chat box so I can answer the question. Okay. Next. That's key number 1, right? Key number 1 is precision questioning. Let me show the next key. Key number 2, it's empathy resonance. Empathy resonance. Empathy resonance is the ability to create deep connection of understanding between the client and the coach. And more than just that, resonance tells us that there's a feedback portion that comes from the client. How many of you heard of this thing called empathy versus sympathy? Any of you heard that before? So let's ask the ground. What do you think is the difference between empathy versus sympathy? Anyone? You can type in the chat box. What is the difference between empathy and sympathy? Or you can unmute yourself to just share your thoughts. Empathy versus sympathy. What is the difference between empathy versus sympathy? Empathy is putting yourself, so Harry says, empathy is putting yourself in the other's shoe to understand their perspective. Sympathy is using your own perspective. Okay, that's a great insight. Anyone else would like to share?
Jedi, can I have a go, the Xiaowei?
Sure, shall we come?
So using the analogy of pain,
Okay.
is sympathy like, oh, I see that you're in pain. And then empathy is like, oh, I feel your pain.
Ah, okay. I see your pain and I feel your pain. So empathy is I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So one of the things that many coaches face, right? Okay, how do we empathize, not just sympathize with our clients? How do we go deeper? When you look at the study of emotional intelligence, and Daniel Goleman is one of the forerunners establishing 5 different keys of emotional intelligence, they also explore the realm of empathy. Not just coaches who are sympathetic, but coaches who are empathetic. However, when coaches become empathetic, there is a backlash. Because when we feel our clients, sometimes coaches tell me, hey, I get very tired after an hours of coaching because the client was so sad, is going through this case, this marital issue, and I'm feeling the relationship. And then at the end of 1 hour, I feel very tired and drained because I'm feeling the client. So empathy is when we feel the other person, but sometimes the backlash happens on the coach as well, because we feel so much for them that it affects our coach's state. So I give you an example. A while back, there's a coach who was coaching a client, and in the process, the client was sharing a story, and the coach was drawing the story and being very empathetic. And when the client began to cry, the coach began to cry, and both of them began to cry. Did that result to a good outcome? Well, the outcome wasn't resolved at the end of the day because all that happened was that both parties feeling each other, but that did not drive the outcome. So driving empathy is good, but we need to realize how do we separate our coach's state versus just getting the feeling from them. Because if we always feel the client all the time, sometimes there's a backlash of overfeeling them, and it will drain us emotionally as well. Especially when we deal with life coaching, right? For those of you in life coaching, sometimes it may be very tiring because we're hearing the stories and we feel part of the story, and that may affect our response. So I'm going to show you in 4 different steps, right? I like to make things simple. So let's see this. We heard the word PT, right? I put it across, right? PT, sympathy, empathy. When you say I pity you, you acknowledge the pain of the person. I pity someone, I pity the little person, I pity the person, I acknowledge the person. When you say sympathy, I care about your pain. When you say empathy, I feel your pain. But if we stop there, I can tell you many coaches would be very drained. So which is why when I create this formula, I said, hey, we need to help the coaches to separate from the coach's state and also the sense of empathy, because we want to help our clients. And that's the introduction of empathetic resonance. So this is what it is. When you're in resonance with the client, you want the client to know that you care for them and you feel their pain and you want to work together to resolve it. So empathetic resonance is simply to show that the client knows that you care for them, because nobody really cares what we think, right? Nobody cares about who we are until they know how much we care for them. Your clients as well, they're not going to think about how powerful your question is until they know how much you care for them. So notice this: empathy, sympathy, and pity always come from I. I feel you, I care for you. Empathetic resonance comes in 2 directions. One is I care for you, and the second direction is the client knows that I care for them. And that's very important, because coaching is a partnership between you and the client through a creative and thought-provoking process to inspire and maximize potential for your client, which is the STU response. That's why there's a resonance. When you have a resonance, a vocal resonance bounces back to the client, and then there's a response back to the client to you. That's why empathetic resonance is more important than empathy itself. When you have empathetic resonance, you are, in a sense, looking at the situation as the situation, and you're allowing the client to know that you feel and care for them. And that's very important when you want to go deep dive, because for the client to share with you deeper issues, what must happen? Will the client share with you any issues? No, they will not share, because there's no trust, right? When there's no trust, there's no intimacy, there's no way they're going to share with you. The deeper the depth of conversation, the deeper the depth of intimacy. So if you look at this whole bar chart, if you want to go deeper with your client, the greater the sense of intimacy that must happen, which is core competency number 3, establishing trust and intimacy. So many people would say, hey, let's just get rapport. Straight away you go and say, no, intimacy and trust is built throughout the entire coaching process. Not just at the start, but it happens an ongoing process. So the deeper the level that you want to bring your client towards, or for, or in, the depth of intimacy must happen for them as well. They must feel that you care for them. Right? And how they feel that is through the conversation you have with them. So it doesn't mean that if you have been coaching your client for 10 years or 1 year or many months, it equates to intimacy or trust. Length of time has nothing to do with trust. I teach my coaches all the time how to experience the speed of trust. How do you exponentially increase the speed of trust so that they trust you in a moment and they want to go deep dive with you? Sometimes, to our closest friends or our loved ones, we never share our heart. Sometimes with a stranger, we share more things than our friends. Especially with us as coaches, sometimes our clients reveal things more to us than anybody else because there's a safe environment. So us as coaches, we're employing all the competencies to create a safe environment, building that trust and intimacy throughout the whole coaching conversation to create an empathetic resonance for them to experience the breakthrough that they want. Good. Now let's take a look at key number 3. Key number 3 is the enthralled experience. The feeling of allowing our clients to be captured into the moment, into the coaching experience to create the positive outcomes and breakthrough. So you want your clients to be enraptured by the experience of coaching. I tell coaches all the time, do not sell the concept of coaching. Sell the experience of coaching. Because if you sell the concept of coaching, you could explain to them so many things. Oh, the 10 benefits of coaching. Oh, the 20 keys of coaching. Oh, ICF came out with this report about coaching. So good and blah, 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 blah. But nobody really cares. Coaching must be experienced. So we don't tell our clients, oh, coaching is the definition of coaching is this and that. We allow our clients to experience coaching. And in that process of experiencing coaching, they get enraptured, they get engaged, they get captured into the moment of coaching. Have any of you been to a live concert before? In the moment in the live concert, you just enjoy the whole singing. You may not enjoy dancing, but suddenly everybody's dancing and you're dancing with them because you're drawn into the moment. And throughout experience also talks about how we can experience a moment by moment basis with the client. Today, we have many coaches who are so quick at driving, wanting to get to the action steps, so quick at designing action, so quick at wanting to help the client to manage progress and accountability. But they have not allowed them to experience the coaching journey. Just like today, right? In the 1 hour, there's so much things that I want to share with everyone, but we also got to experience the journey, the flow, the dance together. The coaching dance, that coaching flow, the coaching moment by moment, that is the experience that we want our clients to have. At the end of the day, we ask ourselves, it's not what we get, the solution that we get for the client, but it's the process and experience that's more important than just the solution. Because if they want a quick solution, they will go to a consultant, they can go straight to asking an advisor, but that process generates something amazing. What consultants, advisors, teachers, trainers cannot do that a coach does is that we don't just provide solutions, we co-create the experience with the client. And that way, the sustainability and the lasting results happens. Let me tell you this. Today, if you want to lose weight, for example, right, you want to get fitter, you may hire a fitness trainer and you may do the work one time. But the day you stop with the fitness trainer, that's it. You go back to your past. That's why many people rebound back worse than they had before. I know of many people who are going through a dieting plan. They may keep the dieting plan for 1 month, 2 months with the trainers. After the trainers ended with them, they rebound back to their previous self. And sometimes the rebound effect is worse than the original. So once upon a time, they may be 5 kg overweight. But because of the rebound effect, now they are 6 kg overweight. They may have lost 6 kg, but now they gain 7 kg. So that experience, or that may not necessarily create lasting change. How then do we create lasting changes? To allow them to experience the moment by moment change. And that little win is so important. I tell coaches all the time, I say, don't just be specific or measurable or just achievable. Create small wins for your client. The enthralled experience is an experience where there's moment by moment, helping our clients to experience the rewards for themselves. So people are always looking towards the end goal, the end result. Oh, at the end of this 12 sessions together, you're going to get X, Y, Z. To me, that is not what the client is looking for. What the client wants to see is the small wins along the way. Over the next 12 sessions, let's celebrate every single moment. How are we celebrating with our clients? How are we allowing our clients to experience the rewards for themselves? So for example, if let's say your clients want to earn $1 million, right? Oh, can you coach me to be a millionaire? Yeah. So 12 months later, he becomes a millionaire and he's never satisfied because during month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we never allowed him or her to experience the small gains. The little wins, it's more important than the big win. That whole thing is called the process of coaching. The little process of helping them to experience life in a deeper level, in a greater sense, sometimes fulfills them in a deeper level as well. So which means to say that for us to create the inner drive, inner motivation, inner push, it's all about creating that experience for themselves. The experience that create the inward drive, and how the inward drive happens. Remember earlier we talked about the who and the what. When that aligns together, the drive and motivation happens. Today, scientists tell us there's no such thing as motivation. Once upon a time, 40 years ago, researchers tell us, oh, we need to apply motivational theories, we need to apply behavioral change and blah, blah, blah. But today, we have a new research shows that motivation, there's no such thing as motivation. So science or research may fail us. But one thing that doesn't fail us is our ability to converse with another person and create lasting change and positive results with them. And that happens in the whole cycle of the coaching journey. That's key number 3, the entire and throughout experience. Key number 4 is a deep dive artistry. The art and science of conversational mastery to dive deeper with client and helping them see the world differently. If we can help our clients see the world differently, we can help them see them, we can help them to see, their situation differently as well. So many times, when we look at this, we are looking at the world differently as well. Why is it important for our clients to see the world differently? Because if you can see the world differently, they can see the problems differently. Sometimes when we stand outside at a higher vantage view, we realize that the problems that we have actually ain't that big. And we stand at a higher vantage point, sometimes we can see the solutions much faster. So rather than diving into the solution so fast, we are diving deep into who is the person behind that solution, the man behind the machine. When you look at Iron Man, right? No spoilers here, right? When we look at Iron Man, the machine that is driving, which is more important, the machine or the man that's behind the machine? It was the man. Because it was him, the alignment with himself and the vision that he has for the entire team that allowed him to do what he did, that allowed him to push further and beyond what he ever thought possible. So in the art and science of conversational mastery or coaching, we're exploring how do we deep dive with the client? How do we go deeper with them? Because coaching is both a science and art, right? When we look at the neuroscience part, when we coach someone, we lower their cortisol level. When you lower the cortisol level, they experience eustress and less de-stress because the cortisol level helps them to regulate the stress level. When we coach them and helping them gain clarity and alignment, it activates and reduces the amygdala, right? So the amygdala will swell when they're in the state of fear, fight or flight. So we want to reduce the amygdala, lower and balance the cortisol level so they experience eustress, and want to increase the dopamine level. And how do we increase the dopamine level? Is that we create micro wins for them. When we create micro wins for them, dopamine level helps them to experience that high feeling, right? They experience that sense of, yes, I can do it. With the micro wins, to them, towards the major wins, it becomes easy. When you look at all the Olympic swimmers today, or Olympic champions today, they didn't start off being Olympic champions. They started off with micro wins at the smaller leagues, to the major leagues, to the Olympic size feats. So if we want to help our clients to achieve Olympic size feats today, we want to help them experience the small little feats in their own local context first. First local, then global. So let me bring all this to a close. When we look at all these four keys, we're looking at the word deep, D-E-E-P. You deep dive, artistry, and throughout experience, empathy, resonance, precision questioning. And the way that happens in the word deep first begins with your precision questioning all the way up. If you're able to do all these keys, you allow the clients to experience a deep dive moment for themselves. So today we explored In this short 1 hour, I try to cram as much as possible. So if you miss anything, you can replay this. In this short 1 hour, we explored how we go deeper with the client, the strategies that we can help our clients go deeper than ever before. What are the connections that we need to make for our clients? What are the depths that we need to experience? What are the feedback loops that we need to know so that we know that clients are on track? So if we're able to do all this, we're able to create change for the client. And with that change, create the inward drive and motivation for them to create sustainable and lasting change and results for themselves. So with that, I want to leave all of you with an amazing time, right? To try this out, try this deep diving with your clients and experience coaching at a deeper level than ever before. So what I want you to do, and I challenge all of us here in today's conversation and all the people who are listening to this and outside as well, to challenge yourself. How can you go deeper with your clients than ever before? And see that out, right? And try that out. And if you have questions, feel free to drop me a message. You can find me on LinkedIn at Jedidiah Alex, or you can log me on Instagram as well to connect with me as well. Thank you so much for spending that 1 hour with me. I know your stomachs are rumbling, right? As much as my stomach is rumbling. So think about this over lunch, right? Let your lunch be one amazing coaching conversation. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much, Jedi. Thank you for sharing so many thought-provoking insights. Really love your interaction, love your examples. You're right, you fed us with a lot of food in our brain, and now we need to feed the food into our stomach. So with a lot of takeaways from today's session, we're just going to digest that, process that, and apply it. So thank you very much once again, Jedi, and thank you everyone for your participation, for your engagement through chats as well as having spoken up. I'll be sending the link to all of you, so we'll be able to go through the recordings again, and feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Hope to see you soon. Tomorrow, there's another session.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.